Oh, shoot, I forgot. I got all this stuff behind me because I sit in my kitchen. Lord have mercy. Shalom, 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 shalom. How everybody doing? This is an update with the update with the update. And it's late. I'm sleepy. But I still got to try to get a warning to the people. That's what it's about. So you can prepare for what's coming. So I ended the last segment on Arizona not wanting to extradite the Soho um unalive suspect in New York because they feared that New York's gonna let him go. So Arizona said we'll just keep him in jail down here. So that's where I ended at. Please like, share, subscribe so I can get into the YouTube algorithm and leave a comment. That also helps. Say hi. Say anything. But today, again, this is the series, The Coming Collapse of America. And I'm just gonna talk about them dang on migrants. Cause where they gonna get a job at? Unskilled labor. Let's see. AI gonna take most of the entry level jobs. Where they gonna get a job at? They gonna cut up just like they been doing. More of that in a minute. Hmm. I was eating some Doritos. So getting to the layoffs. Now I'm gonna read you this list. So it haven't been mass, but it is, and also Ford and Stellantis, since they got the record-breaking union contract, they talking about taking jobs down to Mexico. So it's just a matter of time. Now, will there be layoffs in 2024? According to a 2023 report by Randstad RiseSmart, which is a company that does dang, what you call that? Um, it does surveys. So they did surveys around the country. That's what they do. It is projected that a significant 92% of employers are preparing for layoffs in 2024. My suggestion to you, if you have retirement age and you still broke, you probably gonna be broke. Leave. Enjoy the rest of your life. Stop giving these companies all your good years because that's what we have done. Lee, you ain't gonna make no money now because it really ain't gonna get no better. You know, all I'm saying is downsize, do the best that you can. Because when I retire, I'm still gonna be working. I'm still gonna be doing something, but it's gonna be what I want to do and when I want to do it and how I want to do it. It's going to be based on myself, not doing a 9 to 5, which we'll get into that with Gen Z. So, based on this report, oh shoot, I done hit some. Okay. Um, like I said, 92% of employers are preparing for layoffs in 2024 as they navigate the economic implications of the COVID-19 pandemic and adjust for potential overstaffing during this period. During that time, companies overhired people, people were working at home, so they needed more people. Well, they readjusting those numbers now. The emergence of new work trends such as, like I said, artificial intelligence, AI, and sustainable practices indicates a potential surge in job opportunities and shifts in certain job roles. the market continues to evolve, the opportunities, those who are proficient in AI will be the ones who will be sought out for employment. What companies have had mass layoffs in 2024? Salesforce, which is what my company uses. Salesforce is laying off about 700 employees, approximately 1% of its global workforce, amidst a broader wave of tech industry layoffs, as reported by the Wall Street Journal. Microsoft, mass layoffs. Microsoft laid off 1,900 employees, 8% in its gaming division, following its acquisition of Activision Blizzard. The layoffs are part of a larger plan to reduce overlap, were announced by Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer, who emphasized support for the affected employees. Google, mass layoff. Google has laid off hundreds of its employees among various divisions, which include engineering, Google Assistant, hardware teams responsible for products like Pixel phone, and Fitbit watches. The layoffs are part of the company's efforts to reduce expenses and focus on artificial intelligence, follow a trend of tech job cuts seen in other major companies like Meta and Amazon. So far, it's been about 12,000 people that have been laid off. We just going into March 2024. Sports Illustrated, mass layoffs. The News Guild of New York and Sport Illustrated Union have filed an unfair union practice against the Arena Group, alleging that the recent layoffs around 100 people at Sports Illustrated unfairly targeted union people. Wow. And this is what GM, Stellantis, and Ford laying off union people. The layoffs, which followed the avocation of the Sports Illustrated brand licensed by Authentic Brand Group, have been criticized by former CEO Ross Livingston, who resigned, citing the board's abhorrent and reckless actions. Pixar, Disney, mass layoff. Pixar, a Disney owned animation studio, is set to undergo significant layoffs, which aim to increase efficiency and reduce stream losses. The layoffs are affecting people hired by Disney, content production, and come despite Disney adding additional 7 million subscribers. So you added subscribers, but you're laying off people. Hmm. These changes reflect Disney's strategy to streamline operations and focus on profitability in streaming amidst industry-wide shifts in audience preferences. Universal Music Group mass layoffs. Universal Music Group Nevada, the world's largest record company, has laid off 11,000 employees. And they have artists on their roster such as Drake and Taylor Swift, just to name a few. The CEO, Lucian Grain, is focusing on cost cutting measures, including cut to grow initiatives. Cut to grow to improve profit margins while continuing to invest in new growth areas like geographic expansion and direct to consumer sales. Amazon, their gaming Twitch, mass layoffs. And that's where people the young people like to go make money on Twitch by playing games. Twitch has laid off 500 employees, approximately a third of their workforce, marking the second major layoff in less than a year after 400 job cuts in March 2023. So far they've had 900 layoffs. Twitch has. The CEO Daniel Clancy stated that despite the cost-cutting efforts, the organization remains larger than necessary for its current business size. So they're going to continue to lay off. My son is going to be in this next segment, so he could stay around. Say hi to the people. BlackRock mass layoffs. 600 employees, approximately 3% of its global workforce, to adapt to rapid changes in asset management industry and reallocate resources. Now we just going into March 2024. This all happened in the last 2 months. iRobot layoffs. 31% of the workforce laid off January 2024. JAMF, 6% of the workforce laid off January 2024. I already told you Salesforce. Paramount, an unspecified amount of workforce laid off January 2024. Business Insider, 8% of its workforce. Time Magazine, 15% of its editorial staff. SAP, which I work on at my company. SAP layoffs. They laid off 7% of their workforce in January. Vroom, 90% of the workforce was laid off at Vroom. And I don't have no idea what that is. The Los Angeles Times, 20% of this new staff laid off. All this in January. Brex, don't know what that is. 20% of its workforce. X, Alphabet's Moon Shot Lab, undisclosed dozen of jobs cut. Citigroup, 8% of its workforce. Prime Video and MGM Studios, undisclosed hundreds of workers laid off. Macy's, 3% of its workforce. Wayfair, 13% of its workforce. Riot Games, 13% of its workforce. Riot Game, uh, I said Wayfair, right? Oh, TikTok, 1% of its workforce. Microsoft, 8% of its workforce. Levi Strauss and Company, 10 to 15% of its workforce. REI layoffs, 2%. eBay, 9%. Sports Illustrated, 1%. Discord, and that's an app you can download, and 15% of its workforce. Amazon Audible, 5%. NBC News, 1 to 3%. Oh, I said Cedar Group. I said, Google, 1%. Treasure Financial, 60 to 70% of its workforce laid off. Duolingo, 10%. Sharpie and Rubbermaid, 7%. Rent the Runway layoffs, 10% of corporate roles. Oh, shoot. I don't know how this came up. How did this come up? Oh, thanks. Okay. Um, Unity, 25% of its workforce, all in January 2024. I hope you stock up on food and water, because this is the beginning. BlackRock, 3%. Pitch, don't know what that is. 2/3 of its employees laid off. Bench Science, 17%. Flex, 38%. New Scale, 28% of the staff. Trigo, 15%. Xerox, 15%. Envision, entire company by the end of 2024. It just shut down. I don't know what company where they at, but look, Video Amp, 20%. Orca Security, um, 15%. Front Desk, the entire 200-person workforce laid off. I guess they shutting down. So this is just to name a few of the companies that are laying off. And these are at least 50 companies since January 2024. So I hope you stock up on food and water and become prepared because it's going down. Okay, Danye, come on. Oh, Ford and Stellantis, both CEOs said with the coming up with their new contracts, they seriously thinking about shipping some of their divisions to Mexico to remain profitable. Excuse me, I know this is ghetto, but Adanye, I need him here for this next part because we're gonna talk about Generation Z. Why they don't want to work? Because he Generation Z and he don't want to work. Okay. I mean, they do have it right because if I would have known what I know now, no way I would have sat at a company 25 years and not being able to live the dreams that I have and aspirations that I have because it's hard to do that sitting at a desk for 8 hours because by that time you're tired. And then I had to get a second job, because of a-hole that we got in office. That's another discussion for another time, with what's going on with the economy and everything being so high. Adanye! But look, I want you to listen. So they do have it right. They don't want to work 8 hours. And I was looking at this and I was like, this is really my son. Hold on. Oh, I gotta go here. Every time I think I got it, I don't. Oh, wait a minute. I want to go back because I got something about these layoffs that I found. Oh, I found it. Just passed it. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. Well, anyway, when I find it again, because I just passed it. Oh, here it is. Here it is.
1.4 million. Man, aren't we just off to the most fantastic start in 2024? We have fantastic jobs numbers that came in January, breaking expectations, especially all the really crappy jobs that nobody wants, all the part-time ones that don't pay enough to feed your family. Yeah, those jobs. Those are doing great. And also, on top of that, we've had so many different companies performing layoffs at the beginning of this year. And that's great too, isn't it? That's great news, guys. Well, at least that's what the current administration and the Fed would want you to leave. Because this year in 2024, there are dozens of major companies that are going to be cutting costs, which means cutting your job and paying less. That's basically what all this means, guys. When companies hunker down into cost cutting mode, it means that there are going to be layoffs and they're just going to be spending less money. And layoffs are one of the easiest ways to cut costs. And the funny thing is that, on a side note here, is the more that companies perform layoffs and cut costs, then the higher their stock prices go, which is even more irony because when people see the stock market going higher and higher, like we have been now, a lot of people use that as like reinforcement to believe that the economy is going extremely well, when in fact it isn't. In fact, I just heard George Gammon say on his channel yesterday, and I just love this, guys, because it's so true, that all these other economies, the big major players in the world that just entered a recession, like the UK, Germany, Japan, all of those countries, guess what? They all have all-time high stock markets right now, just like the US, but yet they're announcing that they're in recession. So to sit there and say that it's impossible to have a recession, even though we have all-time highs in the stock market, is actually just not true, because these other countries are proving that right now. And here's the big problem, guys. It's not even just companies that are hurting right now that are looking to cut costs. Even profitable companies are doing this right now. You have companies like Mattel, PayPal, Cisco, Nike, Estee Lauder, and Levi Strauss are all putting forth cost-cutting measures this year, even though they're doing well financially. I wonder why they're doing that. My guess is they're probably hunkering down in anticipation of the economy continuing to falter and get worse. Why else would companies that are doing well right now be pulling back rather than trying to expand? Really, what's the other excuse? One of the most recent examples we can see this with is UPS. They just announced that they're going to be laying off like 12,000 workers this year because of their new contracts and how much their expenses are going up. It's like, yeah, you guys are going to get your new contracts. The people working there are going to get paid more, but it's just there's going to be way less of you working there who are getting paid more, which I just find fascinating because a lot of people associate higher wages with a prospering economy, and this is going to make our economy even better, just like with the fast food that we've talked about. In California, they're making it so that fast food workers are now going to have to get $20 an hour starting in April of this year.
Right.
And a lot of people have written me saying, oh, Michael, what are you against fast food workers making $20 an hour? No, I'm not. But what I am against is a Big Mac costing $18.
Right.
So that's what the problem is. And unfortunately, that's the direction that we're going to be headed, just like UPS, guys. UPS, okay, we're going to pay you more, but we're just going to get rid of a ton of people. So all those 12,000 workers with UPS who are going to lose their jobs are now going to have no job, and whatever job they get next, chances are is probably not going to be paying them as good as UPS would have.
That's coming too. It's going to be 3 parts. Um, the migrant crisis, banks, and housing, all that's coming down. Anyway, let me turn back on the light. So, getting back. Oh, you know what? I should have left it off. I'm gonna learn how to edit these videos because now I can't edit, and I got to see what I can do. I got to play with this thing, and some of this stuff out. But anyway, it is what it is. It's late. Adanye! And I am gonna edit this part out because this is terrible. One moment. Okay, let me turn this back off because I need to play you this. the reasons why Gen Z don't want to work, and I guess he not coming, so whatever.
So I took that to heart. All right. So the word on the block lately is that Gen Z no longer wants to work. Welcome to the club. Let's
Right.
have some fun. Buckle up. Understand how the news has been dogging Gen Z and calling them lazy for not wanting to work a 9 to 5 for the rest of their lives. Let me put it in perspective for everybody who's a little confused here, okay? I work 5 days out of the week, 40 hours a week, okay? I do not make enough to live on my own. I would not make enough to pay rent, water, electric, and eat. Loser. An idiot. I'm just kidding. All by myself. I would not be capable of doing that. 20 years ago, when you were getting started, you could live on your own. 20 years ago, when you first started, you were able to do everything that I am now struggling to do.
Yo, working 8 hours a day is absurd. I don't give a fuck what we normalize. I'm gonna be the first to come out and say it. Working 8 hours a day is fucking absurd. This is what we need to do, man. To fucking save humanity and save lives, we need to switch to a 4-hour work week. I mean, 4-hour work
This
week.
is how my son thinks. This is how he thinks.
You know what I mean? This guy's actually pretty cool. I'm gonna leave his YouTube channel down below. So I actually like this guy. Let's hear him out.
For a work day. And not only that, a 4-hour work day, I actually want to combine that with a 4-day work week. So we're working 4, 8, 6, 4, 8, 12, 16 hours a week.
All right, he may have been struggling with that, but you got to admire it. Now, I'm not going to front. I agree with him, okay? I'm lucky enough to sit here and talk to you guys sitting out by a lake. You know what I mean? Just chilling, right? And I'm fortunate enough to do that. And I really only work about 4 hours a day when I really think about it. But to be fair with the chick in the beginning, she's right. Most jobs, it's almost pointless. It really is. Other than food, water, and shelter. Like, who needs that? Anyways, upwards and onwards.
So everyone's wondering why Gen Z is so nihilistic. And I see stuff like, these corporate CEOs who are like, no one wants to work anymore. And the kids don't have discipline and they don't have no work ethic and everyone's just lazy and everyone's just like, no one's chasing things. And the reason that Gen Z thinks that life has no meaning is because life has no meaning. So if we really stop and think,
I'm getting pissed off. Life does have meaning. Getting mad. Oh, that actually feels really good. Just throwing shoes, dude. This is great. What a job, right? I'm so lucky my boss is super lenient.
about it. In the past, the meaning of life, or what got us through our early years, was this kind of script that later on we will be happy. So early on, when we're sort of like, when our brains are young and we're still sort of forming what life is, we would kind of go through stuff and we'd say like, okay, this is the prize over here. There's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Let me follow the rainbow because eventually I'll be happy.
Heart, stars, and horseshoes, clovers, and balloons. Just kidding. You can't afford cereal. No, the guy's got an excellent point. Like most of us, that's one of my biggest fears is not being able to retire. And I don't mean like just completely stop working. What I mean is having the ability to just say, I'm done for the rest of my life. And I think that's we're kind of like, well, we may as well retire now. Anyways, if you're new here,
about if you're going to be able to keep your job or not. Companies are not instilling any trust at all with their workers. The last job I had, there was somebody who was working at that job for about 20 years. You want to know what happened? That company laid him off. They fired him via email on his day off.
Classic. You got to admire that. I'm just kidding. But no, so somebody I know, they went to work, this is about a month ago, went to work. In the beginning of the shift, they do a little meeting, okay? In the restaurant business, they call that pre-shift. So they open up. Listen to this one. This is rich. They open up with Just so you guys know, you're all disposable. Okay?
Oh,
Have a
wow.
good shift. Let's not fuck anything up, huh? Seriously. God, go team.
Seeing the older generations talk about we lazy and we don't want to work for nothing. I don't think we lazy. I think we just smart. We not gonna do work that don't make sense. Like I remember this one time in college, I had got a job at a retail store, right? I walk in first day, he's showing me around and everything. He was like, "Oh yeah, and by the way, we're one of the top 10 stores in the country." I left during my lunch break. No, because what that tells me is all of you guys are overworked. Y'all are hitting all the metrics, and y'all are severely underpaid. Whereas I can go to the same retail store one town over where they're poorly ran, and if I show up on time, I'm already beyond expectations. And the pay is exactly the same.
That's good.
Don't that make sense to you? Like, even with college, the minute I walk
Makes all the sense in the world.
It does make all the sense in the world.
into a teacher's class, and she's like, "Oh yeah, my class is not gonna be easy. I'm gonna make you work for the grade." Bruh, I can go take this other teacher who ain't gonna be there half of the time and pass that class with ease. It's not that I'm lazy, I'm just not stupid.
For an 8 a.m. meeting, my Gen Z new hires. Dude had an excellent point.
He sure did.
I was thinking about this. See, I'm 34, right? So at 17 years old, I already made up my mind that I would never have a regular job. Or I have had many regular jobs. But what I mean is I'm never going to be 9 to 5, corporate, or any of that stuff, right? I'm either going to make it or I'm just going to skim by. One of those was going to happen. So, but the difference is back then we didn't have all these outlets like TikTok and Instagram and YouTube to just shout all this stuff out. So I think it's totally awesome. Okay, it's kick ass.
Sorry, I can't make it. I have a workout class.
My visceral reactions, are you fucking kidding me?
No, fully.
First of all, babe, your opinions are aging you about 20 years, but no, Gen Z does not care. We were hired for an annual salary rate that doesn't even cover all our bills and contracted from 9 to 5. So we will be in that office bright and early at 9 a.m. every day, and we will be clocking out at 5 p.m. on the dot. No more, no less. And I know a lot of you with the boomer mindset will come in and be like, Gen Z doesn't want to work. They're lazy. They have no job loyalty. Yeah, are you kidding me? In this economy, we are not getting paid enough to have a strong work ethic, let alone working for hours we didn't sign up for when most of us already work multiple jobs. But yes, hustle culture is over because there is nothing left to hustle for. Gen Z has watched millennials go.
Okay, just to be clear,
She
I
right.
know a lot of these people,
She
when
right.
they're talking like this, they're talking about just working for somebody. Okay? Hear me out. A wise man once told me, you don't have to work for anyone, but you're going to have to work with people. Otherwise, there's no money. If that makes any sense. You got to get the money from somebody. So you're going to have to work with people.
Mm-hmm.
So I took that to heart. All right? So what I'm saying is when we hear these people, I know what they mean. I get it.
Yep.
And I agree. I have a roommate, right?
Learned that y'all are just trying to sell us a pipe dream. There is nothing to hustle for because in this economy, you can't afford anything, especially at the rates these jobs are paying. And two, there's almost no job advancement anyways at these large companies because the older folks aren't retiring, so there's nowhere to move up to. And of course, that's not boomers' fault. The system is completely busted right now, and retiring is getting harder, and it's going to be pretty much impossible for the rest of us.
And it is something I don't lose sleep at
and
night.
That's why I don't want to die working. But this is why people work at a company 5,000 years and won't leave, die. And that's the only way for fresh blood to come in. Companies want the old people out. And that's just a fact. And if you ain't got no money by the time you in your goal, you ain't gonna never have none. And that's just a fact. A good friend of mine taught me that, and that has stuck with me.
In society right now, where they don't think, and no one seems to think, that they have to do anything that's remotely uncomfortable. And sure, take care of yourself. Don't be exploited. Don't work yourself to death. Don't stress yourself into a heart attack. But at the same time, yes, life is not easy. And I think a lot of privileged people, regardless of their ethnic or cultural background, are suddenly thinking the world is entitled to them, or that they're entitled to all the perks and benefits of a good life. Yeah, at some point, you're going to have to do shit you don't want to. And this isn't an angry old
That's
man.
what I
telling you
tell my
what's
son.
It's why our country is probably not going to be the country that we remember and want it to be in about 100 years because of thinking like that. Well,
what do you mean in 100 years? Man, that shit's already here, dude.
Surely is.
This guy's smoking something. Pass it.
I don't want to. I shouldn't have to. I'm going to work from home in my underwear and teach yoga via Zoom from my farmhouse in upstate New York. And let's be frank, guys, it's rich white liberals.
That's smart. I want to teach yoga on a farmhouse. That sounds actually like you're doing the right thing. Just my opinion.
Rich white liberal women.
Basements, they don't have any life lessons and skills yet.
Yeah, neither did we when we were 20.
Dude, I grew up in Florida. We didn't even have basements. I wish I had a basement. Basements are sick. Anyways, I just flash back to when I was 12. I want a basement. Oh, loser.
I don't know a single person my age who doesn't have at least some sort of side hustle. Be it cutting grass, selling stuff on Etsy, or buying pallets, somebody's got a side hustle because the money we're making at work is just enough to pay our bills. If we want to do something more, we got to make more.
Too often we hear that people just...
I totally agree with them. For, 50 or so.
That is the reason why...
Hold on. It's more. I'm tired of him. I'm tired of him talking. And I wanted my son to come down here and give his opinion about his work ethic and why he don't want, but he feels the same way.
Scare factor of unpredictability and uncertainty in the West at this moment. Every time you turn on the TV, every time you open your phone, no matter what political position you lean towards, you are going to be reminded of the uncertainty of the Western culture, right? More pandemic warnings, World War III is just around the corner. The Earth isn't even going to be here anymore due to climate change, right? And AI sex robots are going to run rampant and take over the world and murder us all. Or if you're lucky, maybe we'll just be trapped under the thumb of a communist dictatorship. So I think people are looking at all this and saying, what's the point? If any of this comes true, why am I going to go be miserable at a job for the short time I have left on this earth? If you
That's what my son told me this one too.
Or social media, you're going to be utterly convinced that the world is ending in a couple years. I believe this has led to extreme levels of nihilism among Gen Z and the younger generation. Political division in the Western world is also at an all-time high. If you're a vocal Biden voter and you work in an office with a vocal Trump voter, this is like all hell has broken loose in the office. You're working in a daily nightmare at this point. And with the West being about a 50-50 divide on this environment of political and ideological disagreement is ever so common. So you have constant conflict at a regular basis. People are constantly at each other's throats these days. And people inherently don't like conflict. So they're thinking to themselves, well, it's just better to work from home and avoid human contact because people just don't get along anymore. Especially over the last few years, a lot of family members don't even talk to each other anymore due to political disagreements. So I think people are just saying to themselves, well, if I go out into the abyss of the unknown world, I most likely am going to come across someone that I don't entirely agree with, and I really don't want that to happen. So it's better off just to stay in my safe space in my parents' basement. As well, Gen Z has grown up on the internet. A lot of them know how to go out there, do a deep dive, seek truth or any information they want via the internet. And they are looking at this world and what's been built for them. And, they're looking at the world leaders and they're living in all the absurdities of the modern world and saying, man, this is ridiculous. Fuck this place. This place stinks. Let me just rot away in some form of an alternative reality and play video games or just lock myself into my iPhone all day. The third category, of course, how could we forget the internet? The most idolized woman on earth right now by young females is Kim Kardashian, a billionaire. What contribution did she lend to society where she earned the positive attention from millions of young females across the globe and amassed a fortune doing so? Well, she was very good at monetizing long-term a low-quality, grainy blowjob video that she made with a C-list rapper. That's her big contribution to society. and why all these young females continue to give her praise. And then here's another example of this, and I've brought this up in other videos, but look at Bad Baby.
Oh, she terrible.
Ever since the pandemic, I've been noticing like the youth today now, the teenagers and the people in their early 20s, they don't really care so much about working. They don't put no passion into the jobs that they do. And I understand it because like, they get it. The jig is up. When it comes to jobs, the jig is up. Like they understand you can't get rich off no job. They understand these jobs don't care about you. And pretty much everybody's replaceable. So it's like they don't really too much care to be there. And it shows in their performance. Like when they give you customer service, it's so dry.
It is
so minimal. You know what I mean? Like you'll catch employees on their phones, in their phones, staring in space. They don't want to smile. They don't want to greet you. They're just like dry with their whole. I don't know. It's like they don't care to be there. They don't care about how you feel about your service. They're not treating you how they would love to be treated. But, let it be a flip side to where they're the customer. Oh, they're going to want to blow up for how they're being treated. If they were to get the same treatment, they would want to blow up. But it's like, I don't know. I kind of blame management and I kind of blame our generation because we also knew that the jig was up when it came to work. We also knew that, these jobs ain't going to treat us as well as we would like them to treat us. And they realized they can just do content creation or open online business.
I'm trying to get a better picture.
Scam. Like there's plenty of ways that they know how to
scam. That's
ways
true.
to get rich or at least in a comfortable position financially to where they don't have to deal with these jobs that they don't like coming to. So their whole attitude about coming to work, they're not honored to work for these companies. They're not honored to serve people. They don't care. They don't care. And that's what I've been noticing since the pandemic. Like, a lot of these jobs.
And they don't care. My son does not care. That's it for tonight. I'm getting ready to try to edit this video and get that stuff out. So wish me luck on that. That is it. More to come, more to come. But again, I hope y'all stock up on food and water and be prepared for what's to come. Have a good night.